What's going on, guys? Tyzilla83 here, and we're going to talk about the number 3 and number 2 teams in the SEC East as a part of my preseason SEC conference rankings. Now, obviously, we've already started from the bottom. Now we're here. I've already used that Drake line a couple of times. I promise, no more. Let's jump right into it. Mizzou. Why do I like Mizzou top 3? It's Gary Pinkel. This guy has found a way. He was competitive in the old Big 12 days in the North. I know it was the North. I realized it was Big 12 North. And he's found a way to be competitive in the SEC East. 2 years in a row. Back-to-back SEC East champs. That's over the likes of the Florida Gators, the resurgence of the Tennessee Volunteers. That's over the Georgia Bulldogs, despite getting destroyed by Georgia last year. That's over all these teams. Back-to-back times this team has won the East. Yeah, the East has been down the last 3 years. I'm aware of that. But still, give credit where credit's due. Gary Pinkel is a master developer of talent. Have you played a Madden game lately? How many times you scroll down and one of the top 10 players on a team played at Mizzou? It's just crazy to think about. This team can develop talent, especially along the defensive line, as good as anybody in the SEC East, or in the SEC total. Let's talk about why I like them top 3. Number one reason for me, well, besides Gary Pinkel and his ability to develop, the highest caliber of players, NFL caliber players. Also, Russell Hansbrough this year. This guy's going to be a beast, 5'9", 195-pounder, 205 carries, 1,144 yards. That's 5.3 yards per carry. 10 total touchdowns. Matty Mock, a guy who I think is going to take another step forward. That's also going to be a bright spot for them. He's got to bring that completion percentage up at least 5 or 10%, and he's really got to calm down those interceptions, bring those down to single digits. But he had 25 touchdowns a year ago. I think 13 or so picks. Got to bring those down. Let's talk about top recruits. Terry Beckner, a 5-star, what do you know, defensive tackle along that defensive line. Terry Beckner, 6'4", 295-pounder, 5-star out of East St. Louis, Illinois. Next up, 4-star quarterback, Drew Lock, 6'3", 205-pound pro style, 4-star out of Lee Summit, Missouri. When you look at these guys statistically, offensive stats aren't there. 95th in the country in total offense, 13th in the SEC. Not good numbers. When you look at them defensively, they're a little bit better. You're talking about a 23rd overall in the country rank. Anytime you're top 30 in the country, that's pretty good. Top 30, top 35, 7th. That was good enough for 7th in the SEC. Last year, this team, a couple of meaningful wins, but when you look at their strength of schedule, honestly, wasn't really tough. Their only difficult games they struggled in. In fact, one of them they got destroyed. Georgia walked into their house and beat them 34-0. This team has got to make a turnaround on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't think they match 11 regular season wins. I think I've got them in that 8 to 10 win category. Would not be surprised to see them be competitors in the final 4 weeks in the SEC. Still fighting for that, just like they did last year. They beat Arkansas. They won the SEC East. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the same thing this year. Let's jump on over to the one, the only Tennessee Volunteers. The Tennessee Volunteers are returning so much talent, it's ridiculous. Josh Dobbs took the job late last season. He finished, 4-1 or something. This kid, I watched him a little bit last year at the end of the season. He's dual threat. He can run them with the ball. Tennessee's going to come at you from multiple angles. This team a year ago finished with 6 regular season wins, with their 7th win against Iowa. The downside to Tennessee is that they didn't have a single meaningful win last year. They struggled against the likes of South Carolina, who they had to beat in overtime. They struggled against Vanderbilt at the end of the season. Lost to Oklahoma by 24 points, an Oklahoma team that finished with just 8 wins in the Big 12. Tennessee's got a lot of work, and they still have got to fill depth. I realize their last two recruiting classes have been phenomenal. They still got a little ways to go in terms of developing some good quality depth there and having depth to begin with. Obviously, their MVP for me, it's really two guys, but Josh Dobbs is the difference maker. He's their Russell Wilson, only taller. 6'3", 212-pounder, dual threat. His only downside is I think he played in 5 games. He threw 6 picks. Got to limit those picks. He will be a sophomore, or excuse me, a junior. I was looking at Jalen Hurd, but he's going to have another year under his belt with this offense. I think that if he can limit his turnovers, this team's going to be awfully scary to watch. Their other guy that I really like is obviously I just mentioned him, Jalen Hurd. This is a guy as a freshman nearly ran for 1,000 yards. He had 5 or 6 total touchdowns. Absolute beast. Top recruits, 5-star defensive tackle Khalil McKenzie, 6'3", 354 pounds. And then another defensive tackle, 4-star Shy Tuttle, 6'3", 320 pounds. So they're recruiting along that line of scrimmage. And they recruited everywhere. State of Tennessee, California, Georgia, Indiana. They pulled recruits from everywhere. Total offense, little lackluster on offense in terms of stats by the end of the year. They were 90th overall in the country, 11th in the SEC. Total defense wasn't too bad, 36th in the country and 8th in the SEC. Again, last year they finished with a 7-6 record. This year I've got them anywhere between that 8 and 10, somewhere in 8 and 10. And the keys are going to be hosting Oklahoma and Arkansas. We know now Arkansas just lost one of their running backs, Jonathan Williams. That's a huge blow to Arkansas. So now all of a sudden that Arkansas game doesn't look like quite the game it was before when they had the two-headed monster. So that game is very winnable for them. Oklahoma is winnable. They do got to travel to Alabama. They're going to have to travel to Missouri. But other than that, there's no reason why this team shouldn't win at least between that 8 and 10 win mark for Tennessee. So that was it, number 3 and number 2. Next up is the number 1 team. Can you guess who that is? My gosh, we've covered them all except the 7th and final team who I have to win the SEC East. That is the Georgia Bulldogs. And their video is coming soon. I'm working on it as we speak. And I've actually captured all the footage. I can't wait to get that video out to you guys. So that's it. Until next time, you guys try like hell to be kind to one another. And football's almost here, guys. Every time I say it, the better it gets because we really are literally 2 weeks from football from this recording date, August 19th. So, again, thanks a lot, guys. Until next time. And remember, hit that like button, comment down below. And as always, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot, guys.